Welcome back to the Wizard Shop. Today is going to be an update on these two projects, the Cadillac and the 62 Chevy C30, right after this. This is my 69 Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham. We were trying to actually do a diesel swap on this with an Oldsmobile 350 diesel, one of those old diesels from the old days. And just like many swaps do, you get halfway through it and you find out, I'm really going to have to hack this car up to make it work. And at that point, I just decided, just like in the previous video, there's no way I want to cut the cross members or hack up this car. It is in excellent shape. This is not a car to be turned into a demolition derby style car and just start cutting and hacking stuff. So I took the original engine, which is sitting in there now. The bottom end was in good shape. I've had the cylinder heads fully gone through and rebuilt with valves, and I actually had hardened valve seats put into it and valve guides, everything, the whole 9 yards on the heads. And the engine is sitting in there waiting on two items. This is a brand new Quadrajet that goes to this car. I ordered it. I decided to just go back stock. This car will retain its value and it won't be modified. We have yet to put that on and the exhaust and assemble everything. We've just been so busy. If we have a chance to make money instead of spending money, in my business I choose to make money, especially in the times that we're going through right now. It's not a time to be blowing through cash. So it sits for now, but we are going to finish it and bring it back to its former glory. We're not going to modify it, we're not going to hack it up, and it'll run smooth and run great, just like it did when it was new. Everything else on this car is perfect. The cruise works, the AC worked, the climate control worked, the power seats worked, everything worked. So might as well make everything back like it was and make it a really fun cruiser.
Didn't you make kind of a big boo-boo?
I did make a big boo-boo. The exhaust manifolds on this engine are gone. When I first started the diesel swap, I decided I probably won't need them anymore. And someone offered to buy them, so I sold them. And now I'm going back together to use the original parts and the original engine. I went to search for a good set of used manifolds, and on eBay or anywhere that I search, a used, rusty, crusty pair of manifolds are $200 per side on this car. I don't know why they're so high. I mean, it's not like they only made a few hundred of these cars. They made thousands and thousands of them. But I guess most of them are in junkyards by now. Right now, I don't think I want to burn through $400 in cash. That's a week of payroll for one of my guys. And with this current economic climate that we're in, we need to save every penny we have to make sure I can take care of my guys. If you guys have an old junker sitting out back and you have one that has these manifolds and you'd offer it really cheap, I'd probably buy them. Or maybe you want to donate them. That'd be totally up to you. But as of right now, I'm not spending $400 for two rusty old exhaust manifolds. So the carburetor needs to be installed and the manifolds, and I need to get a fuel sending unit for the fuel tank. That's the third thing, actually. I forgot about that. And this car can go back together and be back on the road again. It's been a long wait and it's been sitting here a long time, but I think we're finally getting to that point, especially as business starts to slow down. So far it hasn't. We've been really blessed. It did for a little bit and then it picked back up again. So right now we're doing great. But if this continues on and business slows to a halt, we'll definitely be jumping on putting this back together. Let's go look at the old diesel that came out of this thing. This is a Oldsmobile 5.7 liter 350 diesel. No, this isn't the 6.2, 6.5 that you're used to out of the trucks. This is the old 350 diesel. This is the ones they used since 78, 79, 80, 81. They had them in Cadillacs, Buicks, Oldsmobiles. They had them in some pickup trucks. And they had lots of troubles with head gaskets and fuel system issues. I have upgraded the head gaskets and I've actually put ARP head studs on this engine. As you can see, those are not head bolts. Those are ARP head studs. These stick up a little high over here for the reason to put brackets and things to mount, because brackets are supposed to bolt there. As you can see on the back ones back there, that's head studs, just like on the Cadillac North Stars. The fix is the head studs, and that's what I did here, head studs. This engine was a good running engine. It just had blown head gaskets. That was the only thing bad about it. Now I've solved that. There's a decal on the injection pump that it was rebuilt not too long ago. So I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with this engine. I may keep it for a future swap and put it into something that's really simple. The Cadillac was not a simple swap. I could put it into a car or something of that nature. Or maybe one of you guys might want it. Let me know in the comment section if you're interested in it. Although I warn you up front, the shipping on this is probably not going to be cheap. But let's move on to our next project vehicle that's sitting in the shop right now. The Chevy C30. And this is my beautiful 1962 Chevrolet C30 with the 9-foot step-side bed, which is a really, really rare option. Me and Junior Mint have gone through this thing and got it running and driving. Everything works on it. The heater works, the turn signals, the brakes, the blower motor, everything. It runs and drives perfect. The clutch is in good shape, and it's just amazing how well it drives. I drove it to get an inspection on this thing actually, and I was just amazed. It's been sitting in someone's salvage yard or whatever for years. The leaks that are underneath of it was the rear end is leaking, like I showed in a previous video. It's leaking its oil out. We do need to address that, and I've kind of thought about just putting a different rear end altogether that has better ratios. This has the old style rear end in it that has like 514 gears, or maybe even 5 something higher than 573 or something crazy. So 50 miles an hour is screaming, guys. I don't know if I'd want to drive around on the highway or outside of town with something like this. And I suppose when this thing was new, it wasn't used to go highway cruising. It was used around the farm. I actually looked up the prior owner and found out that he passed away several years ago. He was a farmer. And one of the things that he did to this truck before he parked it over a decade or more ago is he had the engine fully rebuilt. And I did pull the valve cover off a little. We were going to reseal it. The valve springs are brand new painted yellow. I could tell that this engine's been through. That's why, as it sits, you can crank it, and within 1 or 2 turns of the motor, it fires right up, and it just purrs smooth, perfect idling. I find it really hard to tear this thing apart and gut it and put a Rolls-royce engine in it. And I was kind of torn in between, should I do it or shouldn't I do it? And I was kind of on the fence. But something happened when I got the inspection that pushed me on the other side. I got it inspected, everything went well, I got it registered as an antique vehicle. That makes the tags really cheap, the antique tags. It makes this truck really cheap to keep. I went to sign the paperwork, I paid for the inspection so that I can get it registered in my name. It didn't have a title before, and it will have now. I register it with a bill of sale, which in Kansas is perfectly legal as long as it's old enough. And after it's all said and done and I signed my paperwork, the highway patrol officer handed me some documentation, some papers, and said, oh, by the way, if your vehicle is registered as antique and you modify it from original, which means pulling the motor or changing this or changing that too much, they will reject your antique status and fine you very heavily. He was saying somewhere upwards of 10 grand. He also told me that Highway Patrol are randomly pulling old vehicles over for the sole purpose to open your hood and take a look. And if they see on the data sheet inline 6-cylinder original equipment, and they look and they see a Rolls-royce V8 or a 350 V8 or anything that didn't come in this truck originally, they'll be in huge trouble. That pushed me over the line, guys. Between that and how great of condition it's in, I decided the Rolls-royce swap is axed. It's not going to happen. Some of you may be sad about that, and I am kind of sad about it too. But on the same note, I'm also happy because this truck is so nice. It's hard to cut it up. I really wouldn't have had to cut it up so much, but it's hard to take away from its originality. If this truck was found in a tree row with no engine and I had to do a whole lot to get it running, I wouldn't feel so bad. But the fact that we did very little work and I'm just driving around town just as easy as a 1990s or 2000s truck, I was just like, wow, I don't know. I can't do it. And when the state trooper told me the information he told me, 2 and 2 went together, and I was like, nope, it's done. I'm not doing the Rolls-Royce swap. I'm not going to get fined 10 grand. It's not worth it. So this truck is going to continue to get fixed up, make it in really good shape. The only thing I might change is the rear gearing so I can drive it on the highway. I maybe add AC at some point. It's going to keep its original 261 inline 6, which is also very rare. And the interior, it needs the seat redone and some other interior work, but I'm going to bring it back to its former glory as well. As we get time and we get things slowing down, if that happens here pretty soon, we've got the Cadillac, we've got this, and we can make videos out of it and let you guys follow along. Let's take one last look at the Rolls-Royce engine and talk about it. Many of you may be subscribed to a channel called Watch JR Go. In that channel, John Ross has a late 70s, early 80s Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow. He does a huge LS swap and all its kinds of things, and I think he actually broke it. What's happening to that car right now, I don't know. You'll have to check his channel out. But this is the original engine and transmission that came out of that Rolls-Royce. This is a 6 3/4 liter V8, 410 cubic inch. The transmission is sitting to the side. It's just basically a TH400. That's a GM transmission. It just has a different bell housing to fit this engine. And this was a good running engine. People talked about in John Ross's video that this thing ran horrible or it ran bad. And they found out, if you watch his video, that it was the fuel pump. Once they fixed the fuel pump, John Ross says this thing idled and purred perfectly. Maybe that's not on video, but this is a good engine. These engines don't have really a lot of inherent problems in these years. They're almost bulletproof. I don't expect there'll be a whole lot wrong with it. But it's got the twin SU carburetors, built like a battleship. When you put oil in it, it's like a big metal cap that opens. Maybe you guys got some ideas in the comments of something we could put this motor in. You don't just come across these engines every day. They're very hard to find, and when you do find them, they're very expensive. So I have one here. I'm not going to get rid of it. We need to do something with it. I won't be putting this in anything that's going to have an antique title on it or antique tag, because obviously I just found out that it's illegal as hell. So I'm not going to do that. Now I'm going to probably find something in the late 80s, maybe even the early 90s, something that we could put this in. It'd be really cool. A Camaro or an Impala. We'll find something to put this in. In the comment section, maybe you guys can give some ideas of something that'd be really cool to put this in. But like I said, I can't just give up on it. This is a really cool opportunity to do a swap with. Maybe an option would be that I find a Rolls-Royce that's in good shape, but with a messed up motor or transmission or something's really bad wrong with it, and just put this in it and put it back on the road. That could be an option as well, but I definitely want to do something with this engine. So this is where we'll finish up today. I actually got a few comments in the last video. They're like, what's going on with the Lotus? We haven't heard anything about that or whatever. I have the head torqued on with the head studs. I have the cam towers on. I'm getting ready to do the timing belt. I just received the new timing belt tensioner. They didn't send the entire assembly. They just sent the bearing only. So I had to press out the center piece here and press it back into the new bearing, which isn't a big deal. But as you can hear, it's nice and quiet now. Nice brand new bearing. The last one, if you look at the previous video, it sounds really bad. It could have failed at any moment. But I'm going to get the timing belt on and get a few other things done. And then we're still waiting on a clutch. The owner, Bill, actually has it ordered, but it's stuck in customs due to the pandemic. And when will we get it? It's just kind of like a big question mark. Who knows? So I'm going to get what I can done on the engine. I've got a few steps to go. And then we're going to make a decision. We're going to pull the transmission back, and that's about as far as we can go with it right now. It's really been kind of a crazy story with this car with parts. I've never worked on a car before or had a car in my shop that the parts dilemma was so atrocious. It's bad. Certain pieces you can find at this distributor. Other parts you can find at this distributor. This person has this and it's a 6-week wait. This person has that and it's a 3-month wait. I guess that's the way it goes, but we'll finally get this thing back together. We're making headway on it. The top end of the engine is back together. We're going to put the timing belt on and keep on trucking with it. Thanks for following along with the little project update that we did on both of these projects here. They're both kind of at a standstill right now, not only for cash reasons, trying to buy the parts, but for legal reasons, why we're not going to swap a Rolls-Royce engine into this. It's a nice, beautiful Sunday here in Kansas, and we're going to squeeze this video in for you guys, an extra little video this week. It's such a nice day. Although we can't get together with large groups of people and hang out with folks, we're all going to take Mrs. Wizard's Alante out with the top down and go cruising around in the backcountry highways. There's nobody out there, just us. At least we can do something to relieve the insanity that's going on here. If you're interested in what kind of tools I use and you maybe want to start a shopping list, check out my Amazon affiliates in the link below. You can also head over to Auto Trader Oversteer if you've got nothing else to do like most of us do right now. Read some of the articles and videos I have there. There's pretty interesting information. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, do that now. We got many more cool videos to come and all kinds of things going on in the shop right now. And again, thanks for watching.